Ladies and gentlemen, Toastmasters all, we invite you and we're glad you're here today at Membership Masters meeting. We actually ask you to turn your noisemakers off, affectionately called as muting yourself in the Zoom world. Today, we have a wonderful program scheduled and you'll gain information by hearing Phyllis Tribby, who used to be in our district, for those that didn't know. As a matter of fact, she was the district officer. But I'm not to do that. I need to call upon our president. Please help me welcome DTM Chris Templeton.
Thank you very much, Madam Sergeant of Arms, fellow Toastmasters club officers, and most honored guests of Membership Masters to our monthly club meeting. Our mission statement, I'd like to begin this club meeting by reading our mission statement. We build new clubs and support all clubs in achieving excellence. At this point in time, I'd like to call on Distinguished Toastmaster, past District 33 Director Shel Ronsky for the inspiration.
Thank you very much, Mr. President, fellow Toastmasters, and our very, very special, and my district governor, Phyllis Tribby. Imagine two baby Toastmasters, been in the Toastmaster world just a mere 3 months. They were asked to be in a contest. They were asked to be helpers, to be timer and ballot counter. They eagerly accepted. And then they innocently asked, after they said yes, what's an area contest? They had no clue what an area contest was. At that point, they didn't even know who the division governor was, let alone an area contest. They went, they had such a great time. They saw the world outside their club. They discovered that there was so much more to Toastmasters than just the fabulous club meetings that they went to every week. It started a decade-long career of not only organizing, working with, and being in contests at all levels. It opened the world so they went to international. It opened the world to become leaders of the district. And as you probably guessed by now, those two baby Toastmasters were my husband and I, Michael. That one area contest so impressed us. It was held at a hotel, so it was a very nice environment, but the organization and the fun that we had opened our eyes to all the possibilities of Toastmasters. And then we sort of went from there, and the rest is history. I'm hoping that every one of us as leaders, and that every one of us takes us back to our clubs and encourages everyone. By the way, is there anybody here who has not participated in some way in a contest at the area or higher? Okay, didn't think so. So I'm hoping we all go back. In fact, I wouldn't be a bit surprised if you should go back and just give a speech about how great an area contest is, only because that's the next level. But encourage people to come as a participant, as an audience member. It's a great way, as we all know, to retain people because they find out there's so much more past their club. Mr. President.
Thank you very much for the words of wisdom, Madam past District 33 Director Shel Ronsky. Thank you very much. We'd like to take this time and introduce our guests. I'm just going by our screen order. I'd like to introduce past District 33 Governor, Distinguished Toastmaster Phyllis Tribby. Welcome and thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Am I supposed to say a few words here? I'm not really sure what you're processing.
That would be great if you could tell us where you're from.
Oh, I am from Las Vegas, originally Indianapolis, but Las Vegas all of my Toastmaster career, and I've been in Toastmasters 25 years.
Great to have you. Thank you many times. I'd like to introduce Yumi Sprague, Area D2 Director.
Thank you very much, Chris. And hi, everyone. My name is Yumi Sprague. I'm the Area D2 Director this year. I belong to two clubs, Slow Noon Time and Slow Motion. And there are now 5 clubs in Area D2 because TM Studios recently chartered. And I'm here to learn about how to be the best chief judge, because that's what I'm going to be. Am I in the right place?
Yay!
All right, yay!
Thank you very much, Madam Area AD2 Director. I'd like to introduce Mr. Michael Kreil, the Area Director G4. Mr. Kreil.
Good evening. I am Michael Carl. I am from Visalia, California. And Visalia is my home club. And I have been the area director this past year. And I've been a Toastmaster for just over 3 years.
Thank you. Thank you very much and welcome. I'd like to introduce Nico Martin, the Division C Director.
Hi, everyone. Good evening. Yes, I've been with Toastmaster for almost 3 years now as Division C Director, and I'm here to relearn the art of speech contest organization. Back to you.
Excellent. Thank you. Thank you very much, Mr. Division C Director. I need help with this name, Ioana Adunusu. I'd like to please introduce yourself.
Hi, is Yawa here? Yawa Donso from China Lake Toastmaster. I am a VPPR there, and I've been a Toastmaster for 5 years now. Just here to learn. Anytime there is any training available, I would like to learn. Thank you.
Absolutely. Thank you. Anytime there's training, we are there. Thank you again for joining us. Mr. Steve Estrada from Modesto, California, Supper Club 5353. Please introduce yourself, sir.
I am, excuse me, I'm Steve Estrada. I have been in Toastmasters for 3 months, going on 4. And I just wanted to hear more about area contests. So this is all very new to me. So thank you for having me.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Steve. And let's see. Okay. Distinguished Toastmaster Francina Vanderhoek.
Yes, good evening, everyone. I
Thank
am the president from China Lake Toastmasters, and tonight I have to leave a little bit early because we have our executive meeting tonight, but I will stay as long as I can and see whatever, any training, no matter how much often you take it, you'll learn always something new.
Absolutely. We're consistently learning new things. Jackie S. I'm not sure how to pronounce the last name. Jackie?
Just say Jackie, it's close enough.
See,
Okay.
Jackie.
Hi, everyone. I'm Jackie Z. I'm from Area A7. I guess I'm supposed to be the area director this year, and I'm here to learn more about how to chief judge. Looking forward to learn a lot about how to chief judge properly. That's all. Thank you. And thank you for organizing this training session.
Thank you for attending. Thank you. It takes a team to put these meetings together. You know, absolutely great teamwork. Are there any other guests? I think we covered them all. Not sure if my computer screen is covering them. If there's any other guests who I did not reference, please go ahead and introduce yourselves right now. Okay, hearing none, I'd like to introduce our Toastmaster for this evening. Our Toastmaster for this evening is our District 33 Program Quality Director and the VP of Membership, VP of Education, excuse me, of this club. Please introduce me. Please help me to welcome, excuse me, Distinguished Toastmaster Debbie Allman. Distinguished Toastmaster Debbie Allman.
Thank you, Chris. Welcome, everyone. It's very exciting to see everyone. Let's go over the roles. We have our timer, Jacqueline Alfred. We have our speaker, Phyllis Tribby. We've already had our inspiration and our executive officers start the meeting. Clarice Kresser, our district director, will be our general evaluator. Laura Crockett, our area A3 director, will be table topics this evening. We'll have one evaluator, that will be Greg Morrow, our Division G director. And that, everybody's here. So let's get started. Our speaker for this evening is truly a legend, not only in her home district, but here, District 33. We were at one time combined, and she is known for her judging, her chief judge experiences. So this is her introduction. Phyllis Tribby is a Toastmaster member with 25 years of service. At her first meeting, when she presented a table topic, she was holding on to the table when she made her answer. She was so nervous that she moved the table. She has held all club and district offices and many appointed district offices. A highlight of her being governor, district governor, in the year 2010, 2011, was that she was on the stage at the World Championship of Public Speaking. She was there to invite the 3,000 plus members in the audience to the next convention, international convention. Can't imagine that. Phyllis is a club coach trainer. As such, she changed DTM to mean dedicated to mentoring. A DTM is always a person who helps and the one who says yes first. She has been a district chief judge 9 times and has been a judge at the World Championship of Public Speaking. Please welcome DTM past district governor, Phyllis Tribby, being the best chief judge, Phyllis Tribby.
Have we got up our screen share? Welcome, everyone, and thank you for that great introduction, Debbie, even though I did write it. I will say this, that I have compiled this PowerPoint, and what I found out is that I could probably talk for at least 2 hours on being the chief judge. My goal tonight is that you will learn some of the duties of being a contest chief judge, that you will learn to do a great judges briefing, counting the ballots and when to use the tiebreaker ballot, and how to conduct a protest. So welcome to judges training. As I say, there's 2 hours of information that I'm going to condense into, I think, 23 minutes. So some of the items that are on my list will be speeded forth, and others I'm going to go into great detail about because those are the items that absolutely confuse people. As a chief judge, you are an intricate part of a smooth operation for your contest. So always, always be prepared. Know who your functionaries are and do as much as you can before the contest begins. You can always check your eligibility of your judges, your contestants. And if you know who your judges are going to be ahead of time, you can always tell them about the briefing and send them a copy of the rules. Before you leave that house for the contest, have a checklist like this one. Be sure you have all of your paperwork together. I was at a contest, an area contest, and the director said, "I've got all of your paperwork." He turned up 10 minutes before the contest, and he had made me 20 copies of every piece of paper I could possibly need. I want to tell you right now, that contest was 30 minutes late starting the time I sorted everything. So if I have time, I like to do all of my own paperwork. I like to have folders for my judges with the ballots in it and blank pieces of paper and of course, envelopes. Always.
Phyllis,
Yes.
Phyllis, I'm going to stop you. Your slides are not showing up.
Oh, really? Okay.
So let's share screen.
Okay, end show. I thought I did share screen, not? No?
Not yet. We are not seeing them. There you go.
Now? Okay, I am
Yes.
sorry.
Check.
I told you I wasn't gonna be perfect, didn't I? You said
No,
it's
you
my
are
first
perfect.
error of the day. Okay.
All right.
No, okay, let's see, slideshow. And
There you go. Now it's full screen. Good job.
all right. Let's go down to wherever we were. Before you leave, have all your papers in a folder. Be sure you're ready with everything. Do not just make one extra copy of the ballots, because there are times I have had to give out up to 4 copies of the ballot. Various people forgot them in their room or lost them. There's always a reason to have extra ballots. And of course, pencils, papers, whatever you need. At the contest, start your briefing as soon as you can. If you can find the 2 timers and you know who they are, go with them to check the lights, the stopwatches, review the contest timing, which is always on the timer sheet. Explain to them that the red light is to remain on until the speech is completed. And explain to them about cards. We're using timing lights. One times, one uses the light. There are no cards used during that time. Should the lights disconnect during a speech, then that contestant gets an extra 30 seconds to complete. That means that instead of disqualifying at 7:30, they would disqualify at 8 if it was a 5 to 7 minute speech. During the 1 minute of silence, then we want to rush in, see if we can get that timing light fixed. If not, then we go to the cards. So the cards are done for the next speech completely. So they're not intermixed, is what I want to tell you. And the timing starts whenever there's a significant gesture or first words. I once had a friend who was competing and he was using a ball that he was bouncing. And I told him right up front, I said, if I'm judging then or timing, the first time I see you bounce that ball, that's something connecting you to the audience. And I will start the timing light. I wasn't a judge, so it didn't matter if I was giving him information. And confidentiality, that's the word of the day. I do it with timers, with vote counters. Every time I talk to all my functionaries and tell them that confidentiality is the thing. At the contest, we're going to have 3 vote counters. I usually ask them to come to the judges briefing just so they'll know who the judges are. You know, they need to know how many ballots to collect, what kind of hand gestures, so that we get all those. And I do explain to them that I will explain the timing and the counting of the ballots to when we get into the briefing room to count ballots. And of course, confidentiality. I always want to stress this, that there is no information going out from any of the people that I work with. The judges briefing. The judges certification of eligibility and code of ethics. I believe this is one of the best pieces of paper that they have developed for us. It says it all: a member in good standing, a club in good standing, a member for 6 months, gives 6 speeches or complete level 2, not still competing. Now, this is a phrase that kind of gets to people, but it's not competing in the same contest, not at the same time, which means that if I have had the international speech and the humorous speech on the same day, then I can have a judge who is competing in the humorous contest judge the international contest. So it's the same contest, not the same day or at the same time. Division or higher cannot be a member of any club with any contestant. This is another thing that's kind of hard to check. Usually what I ask for is from the district director is a list of all the members. I put those members in alphabetical order. I then look for all of my contestants, make a note of who is in what club, and then I try to find judges that are not in any of those clubs. It takes a little bit of doing, but it can happen. The next thing part of the briefing would be I would talk to them about using the ballot and reading the criteria, that there are actually 100 points on the ballot, and they are divided up into different criteria. And if they don't understand something, the back of the ballot has plenty of information on it. But if we look through the judges' certification and code of ethics, it talks about not being biased, to be fair and honest. I was at an area contest and I had one of the judges ask me, well, aren't I here to vote for the member of my club? Then I'll pick the others. I said, no, you must judge against the criteria and pick who is the best speaker today at this time. So fair and unbiased. Don't time. It's not necessary to time. We have timers. Don't disqualify for any reason. If you feel that the content is not appropriate, there is a section for correctness, and you can give them a 0. I would say that if you give someone a 0 in any category, they are not going to add up to be one of your top 3. Speaking area is usually the stage, but you can always take off some points should they not keep in the area, and we can discuss that if it's not a stage. Judges are there to pick winners. That's it. Pick the winner. Pick the best speech today, not what you know they've done in the past, not what you think they can do, not that they would make the best showing because they're the best looking. No, the best speech judged against the criteria. Choose all 3 places if there's 3 or more people competing. You must sign your ballot, make it legible. And if you need ballots, I carry them on my person at all times. So be sure that they know that they can get a ballot whenever they need it. At this time, I must tell you that one person come up and wanted a ballot after the speaker had started speaking. I was very upset. So I have to mention that again. When is it inappropriate to come and ask me for a ballot? Well, it's during a contestant's speech. And again, we talk about confidentiality. Another big part of the judge's briefing is protests, so that they understand that they can protest. Voting judges and contestants are the only people that can protest. A contestant is allowed to use up to 25% of somebody else's content, but they must give the originator credit for that content. The protest must be lodged before the announcement of winners. Now, when can you talk to the chief judge about that? Well, I think the best time to talk to the chief judge when they get ready to leave the room to count the ballots. There are a few judges that think it's okay to put a note in with the ballot. It doesn't make it as anonymous, but it's perfectly fine as long as I can find it before the announcement is made. The lodger of the protest should remain anonymous. Once the judge or the judge or the contestant comes to the chief judge and talks to them about the protest and why the protest, then everything should be handled by the chief judge. We have a discussion with the judges. I think you've probably seen this happen where they call all the judges back to the briefing room. We discuss whether or not it's going to be upheld as a protest. If they think yes, then we ask the contestant to come in and talk to us. And it's like the chief judge only asks the questions. I don't like my contestants to be besieged by 10 or 12 people, just one person asking questions. Some of the questions I might ask is when they wrote the speech, who was it about particularly? Who knew about it? Is there any chance that you've given it multiple times? Has somebody else used your speech? After that, the contestant goes back and then the judges would vote again. After the notification of the winner to the presiding officer, I would go and tell the contestant, yes, their speech was acceptable, or no, it was not acceptable. So that would be all I do in the judge's briefing. So back at the contest, after I've done the briefing, I check my list. Have I done the timers, the vote counters, the judges, the tiebreaker judge, the sergeant at arms? Maybe I need to know where the evaluators are going to be. And I talk to them about how I'd like that procedure to work. Contestants, be sure they understand that they can protest. Now we've had our contest. I've sat back and listened to it all, and I'm ready to lead my vote counters out. So I collect the timesheet, the tiebreaker ballot, the tally sheets, the notification of the winners, and of course the ballots and pins. Yes, I have got to that room and not had a pin. So yeah, I need to check my list all the time. Counting the ballots and when to use the tiebreaker ballot. Well, there is a tally form, one vote counter counts and the other one reads, and they record and they switch it back and forth between the three people and they tally the sheet. And once they have tallied it and all three people agree, we check to see if there is a tie among the top three positions. At that time, we use the tiebreaker ballot. Now, the tiebreaker ballot is the same really as all other ballots, except that it has rated every contestant. So if there are 12 people speaking, then they have put the 12 people in order of how they feel was the best. You would take the two people that are tied, check the tiebreaker ballot to see which has the higher rating, and that is the person that wins that particular slot, and the next person goes down. So if it's a tie for first place, then the person that has the higher rating on the tiebreaker ballot would be the winner, and the next would be second. And then you would go back to your tally sheet to see who had the next highest number of points to be third place. You'll put that information on the notification of winners, list any disqualifications that may be for time or that might be for a protest, and turn that into the presiding officer. And then they will decide who it is that's going to make that announcement. So in summary, the chief judge is a large part of a smooth operation. Know your rules, carry a rule book. People will challenge you. A great judges briefing, I believe, sets up great judges. Prepare, do as much as you can ahead of time. Hopefully, everybody will follow through with confidentiality. And remember that protests are anonymous. And always keep your people that they are not talking about what happened in the contest. Where do you find all your resources? Well, they're on the international website under Leadership Central Contests. You will find the rule book, frequently asked questions. That's also where you'll find the changes in the rule book. And the rule book currently will be in black and the changes will be in red. So the rows right down the line of what they've changed in the book. It's a great reference. The eligibility assistant is not under contest, it's actually just under Leadership Central. This was great to check to see whether or not your contestants were eligible. Now they fixed it so that if it's an area contest, the area director must do it, or division director, or the district director, or one of the top three. So it's not as easy for anybody that's becoming the chief judge to go in and check that. But it's a fun thing to do. It's always been one of my favorite jobs. So I'm ready. We have questions? How did I do on time?
I have the first question, if that's okay. I have several questions. No, these are you.
Yep, okay.
I'm so excited. Okay,
It was going to be quick.
Okay. No, you're good on time. So on the protest, does the chief judge vote?
No.
Okay.
Voting judges only, and the chief judge is not allowed to lodge a protest. Voting judges are contestants. I always felt like I could always put a little note in somebody's ear that I wanted them to do a protest if I was unsatisfied with the speech. But legally, no, the chief judge does not vote and does not lodge a protest.
Okay. So what happens if they contest, like somebody in the audience?
Then they should have volunteered to be a judge.
Okay. I have one more question. On the announcement of winners, who does that? And how many winners do you announce?
Well, you know, there's a different logical part to that. Yes, say first three. But on the other hand, if there's only two, some people say you shouldn't do first and second. Some people say you only do first when there's three. My feeling is it's three places, you announce three places. And who does that? Well, it could be the presiding officer. So at the area, it would be the area director. But in the case of the district, I always present my material to the district director, who usually gives it to the club quality director, I believe.
Okay, great. Does anyone else have questions?
Twyla has a question, or are you just saying hi, Twyla?
No, I have a question.
Okay.
You have all the rules about you can't judge if you belong to belong to the same club as a contestant. But then when is it all right, and how do you go about inviting judges from other districts if we can't find enough people to judge? And I know that you have to have representation from every area, but you get 4 areas or 6 areas, but you need 12 judges. When can you go and where do you go to get other judges?
Okay, the minimum is 5. You should usually have 5 judges. They should be equally divided among the areas. In an area contest, everybody is going to be a member of the club. It's only in the division and district that we do not want them to be in a club with the contestant. Now, where do you go to find those? Well, you do the best to your abilities. There are rules in Toastmasters, but they always have a little bit as well as you can do. You can't do it 100% all the time. I walked into a contest and a woman come up to me and she said, I didn't know he was contestant. I'm in a club with him. Well, I'm not really in a club with him because he didn't renew, but I don't think I want to judge. I don't think I should judge. And luckily, Michael Tenero was past international president, was sitting at that table. And I said, Michael, I think I need help. And he volunteered right away. So you just pick people that you are sure will be unbiased and do a good job at judging. As I say, nobody is 100% all the time. We do the best we can do. I was at one contest and the people that I picked for judges didn't show. And I actually had to pick the contestant from the afternoon speech because he was the only one that was not in a club with the contestant for the evening and still in the same division. So I got it equal, but I had to pick that person. Yeah, it was interesting. It's always interesting. You do your best.
Well, the reason I ask is I have been asked to judge out of state and out of the country. I judged in South America last year, and I've been a judge in Iowa at a contest there.
Yeah. Well, what I found is I go to these area contests and sometimes only the two contestants are the only two people from the club that show up. And so, you have to take who's available and willing and, preference it with someone that you think will do great work for you.
But if they are legally a Toastmaster, and they would definitely be unbiased if they were from somewhere else, it would be all right to ask you to judge in District 33, since you're from a different district.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Absolutely. And I am not in any clubs. TM Studios supposed to be my club, but 7:30 at night's a little bit late for me, folks. I wanted to, but that was too late. More questions? Yes, Carissa.
Thank you, Phyllis. You talked about the rule that judges cannot judge a contestant of a contestant that they share in the same club membership.
Yes.
I believe that same rule applies to the chief judge. Is that correct? That the chief judge cannot be a chief judge in a contest where any of the contestants are a member of their club.
That is true. Yes, because I have done replacement chief judge for several people. And the reason they could not be the chief judge was because one of their club members was a contestant at that particular contest. Yes, that is true.
Thank you.
Wow, Phyllis, wow, this is Yumi Sprague. I have a dilemma then. I believe I just might have a problem. I am going to be serving as the chief judge for our Division D combined area contest. So it's a combined but separate, meaning that we're going to be having area contests for areas D1, D2, D3 on the same day, February 12th, at the same location, same method, but we're going to do area contest for area D1 first, D2 next, D3 after that for international contests. And I was planning to have the same judges judge all those three. And then of course we're going to have tall tales. And I was thinking about, well, so, there obviously I'm area D2 director, and there are obviously going to be folks from area D2, clubs from area D2. And am I hearing that I cannot be the chief judge?
I would not be the chief judge. You
Oh my
can-
goodness.
You should not really be chief judge over your own club members.
Oh my goodness. So what that means is that I think none of the area directors, area director D1, D2, or D3 could be the chief judge. Is this correct?
Well, you're gonna have to go to another area there.
Oh my goodness. I'm gonna have to
You're
go.
gonna work up a trade. That's the
Mm.
most important thing. Work up a trade. So you will go there and
Yeah.
they will come here. And I understand everything's going to be by Zoom. So you definitely could do it. Now your judges, of course, will all be from areas. So they're all going to be from the same clubs as the contestants. But I would say, no, you really shouldn't be.
Okay, then I have some work to do. I need to find, I need to convey this message to the team members for the contest that we're preparing for. And so we need to go to work to find the new chief judge. And Greg Morrow, I might be talking with you.
That's the easiest way to do it. Find somebody that will switch with you.
Yeah, I think I need to look to outside of Division D, it sounds to me like.
Yeah.
Yeah, and our contest is going to be hybrid. So it's going to be in person and also, no. Okay, please tell me.
No.
That's not right.
Yeah, once they district has decided, and the district has decided it is
Okay.
going to be Zoom. So it's only Zoom or it's only in person. And once the district decides which it's going to be,
Yes.
then the area, the division, and the district will all be that. And your district has decided to be Zoom.
Correct. Okay, so I'm so glad that I'm here learning about all this. This is very critical information. And now we have some changes to make in our process.
Yeah, Francina brought up something. You know, if you have 3 different contests, 3 different areas, you could be a chief judge in the area contest that you don't have club members in. You could trade around in your division, stay in your division. So you could.
What she's saying is you don't do all of them. You maybe do
one
that your clubs are not in. And you know.
Okay, so we need to do some discussion here. We decided to do the combined, thinking that it would be easier. So if that's the case, I cannot be the chief judge. But what you're saying is if we were to separate, do them on different times?
No, you can all do them the same. What I'm saying is first you do D1 and then you do D2. So if you're a club member in D2, you could be a chief judge for D1.
Oh, I see. Okay.
Kind of work that out. See if that works for you.
I see. Okay, got it. Okay. I think I got it. Yes, I got it. Thank you so much.
I see my red card. Is there anybody else that's just can't wait to speak to me? If not, it's great being with you folks. Thank you so much for inviting me.
Wow. I just get goosebumps listening to you. It's so much fun. Oh my gosh. I would love to have been on the stage, the World Championship of Public Speaking, being a judge, standing up on that stage, 3,000 in the audience. I want to be you. Very nice. Thank you so much, Phyllis.
You're welcome.
All right. The next section of our meeting is different from any other club that you would attend. And please stay around because this is where you are going to learn even more about what has been presented. Clarice Kresser is our general evaluator. Take it away, Clarice.
Thank you, Madam Toastmaster and Madam Program Quality Director. As Debbie had mentioned, in our club, the general evaluation portion not only includes the feedback, but it includes a discussion. So it's my honor as the general evaluator for today's meeting is to lead a discussion for the next 9 minutes, keeping to our agenda. Phyllis, thank you so much. We had a very rich presentation with tons of information. And as you mentioned, there's a lot of info, but you also mentioned that and reminded all of us that our contests, area, division, and district contests are being conducted by Zoom. So to add to some of the learning process, I want to direct some of the first initial questions around some of the modification or best practices that can be identified from the things that you mentioned and stated that were key for a chief judge on how that can be done for a virtual platform. Now, the first one, and I know this from experience, and I know this from several of you that have served as a chief judge, the ability to check your contestants and to see not only if they qualify, but this whole thing that we just talked about, we cannot have judges who are judging a contest where they have contestants that are a member of their club. And you cannot have a chief judge also serving as a chief judge where there are contestants in the contest they are serving as a chief judge be a member of their club. So I'd like to show, if you could raise your virtual hand, for those of you that can answer this, what are some key best practices that a chief judge can do? There's tons of stuff to do, planning, but what are some best practices that you're aware of that have worked for you if you've served as a chief judge to ensure that you have that information early enough so that you can plan accordingly? Because as you know, you have to have the chief judge, you have to have the judges. If you don't have the judges, you can't have a contest. So I saw Greg's hand. Greg, what are some best practices that have worked for you?
One that really works for me is making sure that I'm in contact with the club of every contestant and that I make sure that the VP of E verifies for me the eligibility of every contestant, because I have seen it go sideways, even at a division level. And it is just absolutely horrible because Visalia Toastmasters several years ago lost 2 members, a husband and a wife, because of a whole mess up. So from the very beginning, if you're an area director, you want to make sure that all those VP of Es are sending you verification of their club members, that they are meeting those requirements so that you don't have any controversy as you go up.
Okay, thank you, Greg. Francina, what are best practices?
Yes, and Clarice know the answer, probably what I would give. Ask, to somebody who's higher up that have a list from all the people in the club, if they can help you download, that you can see who it is, that you can check what as multiple members and who you can ask. That you can find then judges who are not in their clubs.
Mm-hmm. Thank you. Yumi.
Clarice, I think that the question was, what are some of the best practices for judges, correct? Not necessarily the chief judge?
It would be for the chief judge. What would help that chief judge?
Oh, okay.
In order to avoid or to know the information of who are the contestants, and so that they can use that, for example, to recruit judges and to make sure that they're not out of compliance as a chief judge, for example. What are some best practices that you're aware of?
I think that the things were already spoken, but the checking the eligibility, making sure that the judges meet the eligibility requirements would be paramount. And I also liked what Phyllis shared, that that making sure that perhaps sharing the briefing information ahead of time, because there's very little time in my experience at the contest. Things can be kind of confusing, and I think I like the idea of sharing the briefing information ahead of time.
All right. Before I go to Twyla, I want to highlight one of the forms that Phyllis listed was, I believe, the notification of winners form, which Phyllis, I believe that goes directly to the chief judge from the lower level contest, correct?
I always give it to the presiding officer, since they are going to be the person that will be going to the next contest.
Okay, so when you're using presiding officer, you're meeting, okay, are you talking about presiding officer of a club? Because
Oh, of the contest, so that would be the area director, the division director, or the district director. And
Okay.
usually, if it's the district, there have occasions when international has contacted me for information. But usually the district governor takes care of that because they have the tapes to send and other things to send.
yes, I just wanted to make sure, because we have differing levels of experience of Toastmasters, to make sure that we're on the same page, presiding officer, what that means with respect to the form. So you're mentioning the forms from the prior level, say at an area contest, goes to the area director. They have to submit that form that has the listing of the winners of the contestants that proceed, that go on to the next level.
Yeah.
So that is another level, another layer of information that a chief judge for the next contest will have that information. And so the sooner they get that information, the better. And that's why we have timelines for the different divisions and area contests to ensure that there's enough wiggle room to go to the next level. Twyla.
This is very similar to what you're talking about. This is the situation that occurred. And we stress that the runner-up should be in attendance because something can happen to the winner of at the last minute. At a district contest, the winner from Division F, his wife had an accident and he turned around and went home. So number one winner was not going and be in attendance. This was in attendance. Number two didn't bother to go because he wasn't the first place winner. Number three wasn't available. So they entered the person who was the fourth runner up in that contest from Division F. So you also need to make sure that you have the paperwork for not only the first place winner, but second and third, because first place winner could fall and break his ankle on the way to the stage and you'd have to call him number two. But I don't think that a lot of people realize how important it is for the second place runner up to be available.
Outstanding. Thank you so much, Twyla. We have less than 1 minute left on the clock and I want to be respectful of the time. So I think I'm going to, if that's okay with you, Madam Toastmaster.
This is so engaging. We have an extra 5 minutes.
Okay.
I would like to give to you.
Okay,
Yes.
Wonderful. All right, so we will go to 6 o'clock then. Thank you so much, or 5:59. Thank you so much, or 6 o'clock. All right, so then my next question has to do, we saw the words confidentiality, confidentiality, confidentiality in Phyllis's presentation. So confidentiality is clearly very, very important. In a Zoom platform for a virtual speech contest, what are some best practices that can be implemented to ensure the confidentiality? Let's just do the judges so that no one knows who the judges are. What are some best practices that people can, someone can share? And I see Debbie's hand. You raised your hand first.
Woohoo, woohoo. Yes, don't throw your judge's ballot, the part that you don't throw it in the trash can. If it's physical, don't discuss it, of course, but If you're going to be at home, just get rid of it there. Whether it's physical or Zoom, whatever it is, don't discuss it, get rid of it at home.
Roxy, and then we'll go to Jackie.
I think having a judge's briefing ahead of time helps because they don't see certain people leave the room or come in early in case you have a Zoom master that lets other people come in at the same time the judges were prescribed to come in the day of. Last year, we were able to do some of that early. And so that left us there. And the other thing is, might be taking somebody else's idea away, is the naming. You don't put chief judge in your title, or you don't put judge in your title, and you don't let anybody know you're a judge of that contest. But that one you can't help. You can't be control of anybody else's mouth, but you can control by having the judges briefing ahead of time to lose the ability to Zoom, have a Zoom malfunction.
Wonderful. Okay, Jackie, like best practices, best practice.
That was actually where I was going to, is not saying that that you are the chief judge on your screen. When it comes time to, you're actually in a Zoom condition better for confidentiality, I think, on your judges than you are in a large room. Because as we were listening to a speech 2 nights ago about just judging, the confidentiality goes away the minute they go, put your thing in the air and we'll come around and collect them. Also, one of the things that anybody who coaches the speakers, the contestants, will tell them, find your judges in the audience. Make sure you're speaking to them as well as the rest of your audience. So somebody sitting there with pen and paper in their lap with a folder and an envelope is a dead giveaway. Sitting there at your home on your computer, nobody really knows because we're all making notes. We're all doing little things when we're sitting there listening to the speeches. So you've got more confidentiality, I think, with your Zoom than you do in a normal situation. Thank you.
Thank you, Jackie. I want to add, Dennis Ham added in the chat box, the chief judge is a part of the program and can be listed and named on the screen as a chief judge. So thank you for sharing that, Dennis. Yumi.
I like to echo what Jackie said, and I think that the Zoom format does provide the vehicle for being confidential, because we can turn off our video. Because I was just thinking too, in that as judges, we're going to be taking notes and scoring and things like that. And that can be pretty obvious if we have our videos on. But when we have our video off, I think that allows us to be a little more discreet. Obviously, that we can record without people knowing that we're judges.
Okay. Thank you, Yumi. Phyllis, I saw it. And then Cheryl.
Right, yes, it's confidentiality is much easier on Zoom. The problem that I've had with my judges is that contestants come up and want to ask questions. Well, why do you think I didn't win? Well, why did this happen? Well, what did you hear? And I always refer them back to the eligibility and code of ethics, that is a legal binding contract that they signed with me, and that I have asked them not to be confidential because it says so on the paperwork that they signed, and they should use it as an excuse to keep quiet.
Great. Thank you. I see Twyla going like this. So Twyla, and then Cheryl, I'll go to you, and then we have, we're actually on 6 minutes at 6 o'clock.
This is on that judges thing. You're not supposed to say anything. But the way I understand it is, you cannot tell the contestant, oh, you came in second, you came in third. If you just done this, you'd probably made first, or you were disqualified. But what if you take your hat off the contest is over and your friend walks up to you and says, what could I do to be better? Are you not allowed to say, slow down, speak slower? As a past judge, are you allowed to critique your friend's performances?
No, if they wanted an evaluator, they should have got one.
Okay, that's good.
Okay. All right. All right, Cheryl, I saw you. Cheryl, did you want to say something briefly before I pass?
Yeah. That's something that I've experienced once we go back to seeing each other in person. And that is to be careful because we are carrying the folders most of the time if we have good chief judges. And that's being careful where you sit, because more than once as a judge, I put my folder down and then I'm usually there early anyway, and I'm milling around and then I sit down and, more than once a contestant who I know or don't know has sat down either across from me at the table or beside me. They see it and they go, oh, you're a judge. And I go, yes, I am. Good luck. And I have to excuse myself and hopefully find another place to sit because I don't want them seeing me filling out the ballot. So that's just something to keep in mind for those of you who have not had an experience being a judge in a people-filled room. Try not to sit by a contestant. If you do, move if you can.
All right. Thank you so much, Cheryl. And thank you everyone for this very rich discussion. I now return the virtual lectern back to I'm going to not turn it over to Debbie. I'm going to introduce our table topics master who will lead us in our table topics session. Please help me welcome distinguished Toastmaster and Area A2 Director, Laura Crockett. Laura, take it away.
Thank you. Our table topics will be somewhat of an extension of this discussion that we're having. And as someone who has been a judge in several different districts, because I moved around a bit before, I think it's District 18 back east, we had a policy where we didn't wear name tags if we were judging. We just tried to be as anonymous as possible. So we wanted to pretend we were visitors. That's the way we fooled them. Think about that. All right, Ying Ming, we haven't heard from you. Let's hear from you now. Do you think it's important to train judges?
Is that a strange question to ask? Yes, we need to train judges. If we don't, they're gonna do it wrong, right? You want them to be fair, figure out how to put it together, especially judging forms. They have to know that different type of speech has a different percentage for different content. Sometimes people don't pay attention to that. So if you do an international speech, the different proportion has to be correct. So they have to follow that. They cannot just jump around, try to how I feel, because the idea is looking at things, be able to figure out if it's total, what are the things that exaggerate. Those are the higher percentage compared to international speech. Yes, I think they have to be trained to keep incognito, is that what we call them? Don't show up too much, and be able to also, like you mentioned, no name tags in the old days, and in the Zoom, just put a name. Don't put your title, whatever, on the back, like I'm a DTM, I'm something else. That kind of things, just that kind of make things a little bit difficult. Same as the speakers, I think that's important. And so from that point of view, I think, yes, judges need to be trained to tell them how to sign that. Now, the question is, I did a chief judge in a different district. How can they sign the ball when you're all doing virtually? I had them to take a picture, text to me. By doing that, I know exactly, because if you send it to chat box, it's only you don't really have a proof for that. Jackie, am I over time yet? I gotcha. I've been looking at, I figure I'm about 2 minutes and 20 seconds.
I think you're just about there. You're absolutely right. I'm listening to you and forgetting what I'm supposed to be doing.
Okay. Thank you.
I would say yes, you're right on mark.
And I knew that.
Chris, what is one of the duties that a chief judge has that you will find most challenging?
Thank you very much for the question, Madam Madam Area A3 Director. Excuse me, caught myself. The most challenging task of a chief judge, I think, that is to make sure that you have everyone's paperwork ready and organized on the day of the event. And Ms. Tribby mentioned you want to make sure you have all this information about the judges and the contestants in advance. So you're not spending half hour before the contest, making the contest run late, organizing things. You want to do as Ms. Tribby said at the end of her presentation, she said, quote, do as much as you can ahead of time, end of quote. That is a great takeaway for all aspects in life, is do as much as you can to make sure being chief judge, you're being chief judge is a smooth process. It's a smooth performance. That's what we want, is to keep the spotlight on our contestants at all times. Thank you for the question, Madam Area A3 Director.
Thank you, Chris. Debbie, let's give you a question. You are the chief judge. Name at least 3 items you are to bring to the contest.
Oh, okay. Well, I'm a virtual chief judge. So what am I going to bring? I'm going to bring my script. I'm going to have a briefing script, and I'm going to have, well, I only have to say I am prepared, or I have prepared my team. So I'm ready. What else do I need to bring? I need to bring everybody's contact information so that we can and establish a way of, if one system doesn't work, that we have a backup of communication between the ballots, timers, judges, ballot counters, etc.
You're prepared. Was that 3?
Absolutely. More. Of course, I'm an overachiever.
Okay. Jim Kearney, you're sitting there silent and no picture, nothing, but I know you will know the answer and you will explain it to us. And it's always good whenever you have something that's technical and complex, it's good to hear an explanation from 2 different people, maybe even 3. But Jim, the timing light malfunctions. What is the protocol?
Well, how am I supposed to know that? I'm incognito. If the timing light malfunctions, you can do a verbal green, yellow, red, or you can use the paper backup, green, yellow, red. There has to be some way to let the speaker know that they have reached the minimum, the midway, and the maximum point. You, of course, always have the phone for yourself to take down the timing, and you always have 2 people doing the timing, so there's always a check and balance at the same time. I'm not sure. Did that answer your question for you?
Well,
I don't
Phyllis
know.
mentioned
I don't know if there's another one after that.
She mentioned that you give the speaker something. Remember? Who remembers?
30 seconds.
Yes. Excellent. Excellent. That's something I've never been confronted with.
That's for any technical difficulty. That's not just the timing. That's even for Zoom technical difficulty.
Oh, yes. Well, we do have that extra technical difficulty,
Yes.
probability.
Yes.
With our new technology that we are using. So, yes. Okay. And Greg, Phyllis repeated one word over and over again. What was that word? and tell us how you're going to ensure that that word is kept.
The word that I heard was confidentiality. Confidentiality in a virtual format is extremely difficult. And here's why. Having done several virtual contests, judges would communicate with each other via text or some other messaging, but usually text because you don't want to use internet. What happens then is that person's phone number is going to show up on the chief judge's thing. Now, unless the chief judge just didn't program the number and doesn't know whose number it is, it might be a little bit difficult for the confidentiality of any judge to file a protest with the chief judge. Now, as far as the other aspect of confidentiality, meaning that the audience do not know who the judges are, that's easier because only the speakers and the timer are on camera, which means contest master. The chief judge is not anonymous because the contest master is going to ask the chief judge for verification. So the chief judge is going to be obvious in a regular contest or a virtual contest. But by everybody else's cameras being off, not only do you save bandwidth, but we don't know who's just a regular audience member, Joe Blow, who's a ballot counter, who's a judge. Because in a regular contest in person, you know who the judges are because they're doing this. And they're holding this up. So it's a lot easier in most cases. The only case that it wouldn't be as easy is in filing protest because the chief judge is going to probably know whose text number it is. Back to you, Madam Table Topics Master.
Thank you. Thank you. Roxy, when do you use the tiebreaker ballot?
Well, I use it when there is a tie on the computed by the ballot counters. If there's a tie in the first, second, or third place, mostly, you go to the ballot, tiebreaker ballot. That is kept confidential from everybody else most of the time. What you're going to do is compute for the first or the second or the third, depending where the tie is. And then you go back to your sheet to make sure you get the right ones in order, and then you document them and give them to the contest chair or the presiding officer. Those tiebreakers, sometimes you don't even look at them. Once in a while, as chief judge, I might take a peek at it before I go home, but I keep it confidential. So I keep that quiet for everybody, and I remind the ballot counters to keep everything confidential as they go their merry way out of the room, and try not to share somebody who the winner is before it's adequate time, because anything can happen before then with a challenge. So the tiebreaker ballot is fun. It's fun to pick one and figure out, okay, who should I pick for the tiebreaker ballot, and make sure they understand their part of the briefing is that they have to fill out the complete ballot with all the ranked contestants in order. That's what I would do with the tiebreaker ballot.
Thank you. Thank you. Let's do a pretend scenario. Who would like to answer this one? It's a protest, and the speaker is getting a little emotional, is not taking the protocols seriously. How do you handle a sensitive and what could be a blow up situation? Anyone want to take this? Come on, people.
Oh,
Phyllis, to the rescue.
of course I'll take this. I'm your DTM. Well, what can I say other than it is a fact of life, but gentle does it. And that's why I always say the chief judge handles the protest. The judges are in the room. They listen to the comments made by the speaker, but I don't want them jumping on him, ask them questions. That's why I say only questions from the chief judge. If they get emotional, it's like this is part of it. Someone's seen this speech on YouTube, or someone has heard this in District 15 or 115. We want to know when you wrote this speech. Tell us about the speech and try to be as gentle and, you know, give them your loving kindness, but gentle does it. Some people are highly emotional. Most of them are just like in shock that they could have had a protest against them. Then there are others that say, yeah, you're right. I didn't understand that it had to be original. So gentle, that's the way I would handle this.
Kindness, with loving kindness, yes. All right, that concludes our table topics. Got a lot of ideas, a lot of information here. This was a lovely session. Thank you all. Turn it back to you, Miss Debbie.
You guys are having so much fun. I just want to continue it, but that's what we're not going to do. We're going to go ahead and finish up with the general evaluation of the meeting by Clarice Presser.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Madam Toastmaster. I would like to call on our speech evaluator, distinguished Toastmaster Greg Morrow, to deliver his evaluation of Phyllis Tribby's presentation.
Thank you very much, Madam General Evaluator, fellow Toastmasters, most welcome guests, and especially Miss Phyllis Tribby. It is always a challenge when evaluating such an experienced speaker. There were a number of things that you did well in your speech. I'm going to greatly summarize my evaluation, given that I have to evaluate a very lengthy and informative presentation. I want to say that you did a very good job of stating your goals right up front. It is always important. I am an educator. I teach third grade. And as an educator, we are always asked to state our learning objective to even children. And so for us adults especially, it is important that we know why we're here and what the purpose of us being here is. You did a really good job of that. You also used some really good vocabulary. An example would be the intricate part. Being that we're an intricate part of the contest, I really loved that you used excellent vocabulary. It was quite detailed. I have learned so much from this presentation this evening that I did not even realize or think about when being a chief judge. And I've been a chief judge on several occasions, so thank you for that. You had a very relaxed pace. It wasn't rapid. It didn't seem rushed. You weren't trying to cram everything in. It was very much like we were sitting in a living room and you were on a couch and you were talking to us. And it was that level of comfort with the audience, with your subject matter, which made it very easy for us to access what you were presenting this evening. Great anecdotal examples. You always want to give real life examples of what you're discussing so that people can relate to it. And that is not just theoretical, but it actually applies in real life. You also answered the questions quite well. No matter what the questions were, you weren't stressed. You didn't show any kind of angst or anxiousness. You were just very calm about it. There are a couple of suggestions I would make just to elevate it a little bit. When we start a presentation like this, you need a hook. And so asking a question such as, how many of you have been a chief judge? Because it does two things. Not only does it hook your audience in, but it gives you instant feedback as to the experience and knowledge level of your audience. So you can cater your presentation to your audience. And just asking that question kind of can pull them and get a bit of an idea of the experience level. Testing the technology is always a good idea beforehand. You want to make sure that you're testing the technology before the meeting. If you're a presenter, get there probably 15 minutes, 20 minutes beforehand, test it before other people come in, because last night I gave a presentation, for example, and my tech went on the fritz. So you always, always have to be prepared for an emergency. Other than that, it was a really, really good speech. There is one little thing I need to mention. Since these presentations are on the district site, putting hyperlinks to the pages would be a great idea, because then when people download the PowerPoints, they can click on the hyperlinks instead of having to go to the district site. But those are just little small considerations, and an overall really wonderfully delivered and very informative speech. Thank you, Ms. Tribby, for presenting this evening. I am so honored to have been able to benefit from your extensive knowledge. Back to you, Madam General Evaluator.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you so much, Greg, for that very informative, very detailed and outstanding evaluation. Now for my general overall remarks about our meeting. One, I thought this meeting, as with other membership masters meeting, but I would say this in particular is it's the model. And I'm so I think we're all thrilled that we have guests, because what we experienced today was an hour and a half of an in-depth discussion on one topic. And we learned from different ways. We learned from a experienced and distinguished presenter in Ms. Tribby. We learned through the discussion, and we learned through the table topic session. So it was just a very rich meeting for today. I want to highlight Debbie. You were the smooth Toastmaster for today. You were on time, and I loved how you did the introduction, introduced the functionary roles, not in the typical way we do in clubs, but reinforced who the roles were. And literally, when you introduced our speaker, it was literally 5:10 on the dot, according to the agenda. So outstanding. Laura, outstanding table topics. I was so glad that Phyllis picked that last question, because I was going to put myself on turn off my video. Just kidding. But you had your questions again reinforced our learning process, and you were spot on in terms of identifying the key questions that added to the reinforcement. So excellent job. I have only one suggestion, especially when we have guests, is to upload the agenda in advance of the meeting or during the meeting, so that our guests and all of our members have the agenda handy to download. That's just one suggestion, and it has been an honor to serve as the general evaluator. Outstanding meeting, and I return things over back to our Toastmaster, distinguished Toastmaster.
Oh my gosh,
Debbie.
I can't believe I got a good grade on tonight's meeting. Thank you so much. And that is an extension. There's an extension here. I'm also membership VP of membership. I would love for all of our guests to consider becoming members, because we are exceptional at each meeting. You will learn things that are topics for our district leaders, and it's an amazing group. You look at the credentials that our panelists had presenting today. They're all division directors, area directors, district directors. It's an amazing wealth of knowledge and experience. Phyllis Tribby, you are amazing. This is our second year inviting you to back to District 33.
Thank you.
It just makes my heart sing. I learned so much, and I've done this like for 12 years or 9 maybe, but I learned so much, and I understand there's even more. So I hope that you will come back and grace us next year as well. You're an amazing Toastmaster. I love you to death. Thank you so much. All right, the conclusion of our meeting will be giving it back to our esteemed president, Chris Heppelman.
Thank you very much, Madam Toastmaster. Excellent, outstanding meeting. Thank you very much, Ms. Tribby. fellow officers, members, and guests for being a part of our program this evening. What a great meeting. So many important takeaways. As a reminder, our next club meeting is Sunday, February 13th at 5 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. We hope to see all of you with us. Do we have any roles assigned at this point in time, Madam PQD, for next month, or are we working on that?
Put on that hat. I don't have them assigned, but I have a theme. The theme is renewals. So I will be knocking on your door soon to fill those roles. And again, the format will be just like this. But as soon as you're done, I do have some trainings to announce.
Point of order. Chris, we have a point of order in the chat box. I believe Greg is letting us know that it is
I think I know
Super Bowl Sunday.
Okay.
It is Super Bowl Sunday, and that's because the NFL lengthened its season by 1 week this year. So Super Bowl is now on the second Sunday. That's just a point of information.
Are they, what time are they done?
They start at about 3:30. Actually, I have to be technical. 3:28 is when they usually start. Not that I'm a fan or anything. And it usually goes on to about 7 o'clock because they have a long halftime show. And remember that a 15-minute quarter is not a 15 minutes in real time. It's more like 30 to 40.
Okay.
What is Super Bowl anyway?
So what
All right,
Greg is
Chris.
saying is, if the
Super Bowl party.
49ers make it, he will not be here.
That is correct. If the Niners make it, the Niners won in overtime. They had a win. They were down by 17. They tied it up at the end of regulation, won in overtime to get into the playoffs. If they somehow happen to get to the Super Bowl, I will not be there. Otherwise, I will attend.
Okay.
Okay.
All right. All right.
We
Back
can
to you,
have
Mr. Hempelman.
Thank you very much for the information. We can have a combined meeting with Division F leaders. Division F leaders, they meet on the fourth Sunday. We'll iron that out.
That's a great idea. That's a great idea.
Okay, and I have a calendar right here. Let's see, the fourth Sunday of February.
No, we can. Okay.
That's Sunday, February 27th. All right, we'll see you then. Okay.
That, the renewal theme will not work
Right,
that
Madam
late.
President.
The renewal theme has to be done earlier, but that's okay. We'll figure it out. Okay.
The top of February, we'll get the renewals done anyway. We'll also have a brief board meeting after our February meeting. Everyone, it is now 6:28. I'd like to declare this meeting adjourned. Thank you, everyone, for attending. Go ahead. Go ahead,
I
Madam.
still have some training to announce, if that's okay.
Yes, the meeting's adjourned, but go ahead and make the announcements.
All right.
Thank you.
Yes. Thank you. So we have, as you know, there's a Speechcraft Now lecture that I've given, I think, 3 times. It is geared for, well, if you're a member, any person that is a member of a club can be the coordinator for Speechcraft Now. It's the #1 membership building tool that we have. So we are showing a webinar. It's a 1-hour webinar, and then we're having a group discussion afterwards that gives you the support you need to get it done. We have 2 sessions, one on the 18th, one on the 19th, 2 different times. Please contact me if you would like me to give you the pre-registration link. Also, for Division F leaders, we have a wonderful meeting. It's a mid-year distinguished program assessment. It'll be at 3 different levels, 4 different levels. Club level assessments, where you are, where you need to be by June 30th. Area, division, and district. So we're going to invite other district leaders to our meeting. We're going to have breakout rooms. This is a must-see. It will help you plan the rest of your year. And we're going to give you ideas that if your clubs are failing in a certain way, in other words, maybe it's not failing, there's no failure, right? but maybe their numbers are at 1 or 2 educationals submitted, levels submitted since July 1st. That represents maybe up to 7 speeches. There might be a question in our mind. Maybe they don't know how to input the information through, your pathways. Maybe they don't understand how to do that. So we're going to have some trainings pertaining to that. But this overall training is going to help clubs, areas, divisions, and districts be successful through the end of the year. So I have all kinds of things going on. Please come join us. Continue this great effort that you've had this last week. It's been so much fun. Back to you, Chris Hempleton.
Debbie, when is that? When is that meeting?
That's
the assessment.
Division staff leaders will host the mid-year we call it distinguished program training, assessment and training. So that is the 23rd of January.
Thank you very much for that info.
Is that the same time you think about doing a joint meeting? Sounds like it.
Yes, yes. Sounds like we'll be doing a joint meeting. Does that sound good? Is that a smile?
Sounds great.
All right. Thank you so much.
Thank you. That being said, I'd like to thank everyone for all your time and efforts. We'd like to go ahead and adjourn the meeting at 6:32. And if there's any other additional comments and questions, we're here. Meeting adjourned. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you very much. Happy New Year.
Thank you, Phyllis. Stay healthy.
It was great being with you. If anybody would like to join me on Wake Up with Toastmasters, send me an email. I'd love to visit with all of you.
Wow, it was great.
Yeah.
I would love to visit. Is this recorded?
Actually, we do it on Zoom, and it is live on Facebook at 6 a.m.
What day?
6 a.m.
What day?
Ken Richardson and I are there on Tuesdays and Wednesdays.
Oh yeah, I could do something.
Well, yeah. Great. We would love to have you. We love visitors. Hear their story, find out what their clubs are doing. It's kind of an advertisement to get Toastmasters in, new people into Toastmasters.
Wonderful.
Phyllis, how is Gene doing?
Gene
Dunford?
He is back.
Is he back? Oh, good.
Yes. You may see him probably on definitely Wednesday. Gene at Williams and he are on Mondays and Fridays. And most of the time he's also on Wednesdays with Jennifer Smith, who's our publicity person. And then Ken and I do Tuesday. And I was very lucky. New things in Toastmasters. I asked him very gently, would you like to have a co-host? And he jumped at the chance. So I was thrilled. It's a new outlet for me. After 25 years, it's fun to find something new that you've not done before, that you can extend yourself in. So Debbie, we'd love to have you. Twyla, come and visit me, maybe.
Okay, I will.
Okay, I will send you I'll send you both personal patients and set up a date for you to come and visit.
I have some young people too that would probably enjoy that. I new Toastmasters that are amazing.
Yeah.
So yeah, we'll get together.
Clubs, sometimes 2, 3, but Zoom, so we could have any number just so that you're there before 6 o'clock, and then we can go online. So it's on Facebook, but it's on Facebook, I think, eternally. You can go and make comments whenever you like. But Ken is great about going through the international website and finding us things to talk about and then making a PowerPoint. And so last week we had a lot of people call in and talk about Zoom fatigue. And there's actually something about that on the international website.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah.
Good. Right.
So much thanks. So thank you so much for inviting me, and I will send you a personal. How about you, Roxy? Come on.
Possibly I have to get my granddaughter up and get her to school.
Oh.
So it depends on, I guess I could do it 6 o'clock, but by 7 I have to wake her up and prod her.
So we're only on a half an hour.
Oh, okay. I usually watch your
And
recording.
we're only going to see probably your neckline up, so you can leave your jammies on.
He keeps us, boy, have you been watching the videos, the wake up videos? And we need to do that. So we're gonna look at it and copy you.
And there's a pathways, one of the pathways you do podcasts on. So people can get their pathways to do a podcast.
There you
So
go.
it's all good.
All right. Thank you so much, Phyllis.
Good night,
We'll
everybody.
see you. Good night.
Right. Debbie, you need to turn off this recording.
Oh, okay. Thank you. You should have said it earlier. I know you would have.
Well,
written it